Hello everyone, this is Jan. Welcome to SketchaLona episode 40. Today we're going to do a little walking around in Barcelona, do a little sketching in my sketchbook, and I'll show you what I've been up to. I just came across this building, and look at that. It's this odd window, but it kind of looks like like the mask of a medieval knight. Of course, this whole building is nothing to sneeze at. Just came across the most beautiful little castle, just in the middle of nowhere, just standing in between, which is really stunning. Sat down there to draw, not the castle, because it was being obscured by trees, but just a random building in front of me, just to, kind of build up my vocabulary of shapes of buildings and have a little fun drawing in the sun, That's the comfy chair right there, but I can't sit there anymore because I'm dozing off, and I still have to do some household chores and then get back to working on my little comic book. So disaster has struck this week, just a tiny disaster, because it's kind of disaster mixed with blessing in disguise and kind of this revelation, the charger to my MacBook died. And those things are expensive. So we just had a couple of bills that we paid on Friday. The thing died on Thursday. So I thought well, I'll just pop over Friday night to the Apple store. And then of course I started looking online to see if I can get it cheaper, but I don't want to get a Chinese knockoff because, well, I don't want, these things, there's too many horror stories about chargers blowing up and whatnot. So, and one of my friends who's real techie when it comes to hardware, he was like, no, just get the real thing. But I do know a store nearby that sells them for about 20 euros cheaper, but it's closed on the weekends. Hello, kitty. So I'm gonna have to go back there because I went there today. Come. Yeah. But so I had a massive walk today, and it was pretty good. You'll be seeing some of the walk I did today in today's video, of course. And then I did a little bit of sketching in the tiny sketchbook from last week, so I'm continuing that one. It's really fun just picking buildings, not just the most elaborate ones, but even just your average looking buildings, because I don't know, well, there's always something to learn in everything, drawing it. But it's really one of the hard things I found today, so I just picked certain parts of the building, was when you're looking at a building from across the road, so you see the whole thing, but then to draw the whole thing, how I start on the page and the perspective and all that gets really warped, and I run out of space very quickly because if I draw it so that it fits, I can't draw the detail that I'm fond of and that I really want to practice. And so it's a little tricky. So today I just picked two and just did parts. So, and one of them hit me with inspiration for the comic book. The guy on the pillar, that's coming back. So actually that's a good reminder. I have to make some sketches for that tonight, so I don't forget. So massive walk, charger died, went to the Apple store at Plaza Catalunya just because, it was a destination to walk to, got my 8 kilometers in today. And so I went there, and I had this bit of I had a little bit of a revelation that on the one hand, I'll probably get the charger after the weekend. I think it's okay to be without my Mac for a couple of days and to just kind of go through the detox of internet and, you know, all that social media and the news. And I still have all of that on my phone, but I don't know, like it's different on the big screen. Like I can shoot, like I feel differently about it, and I get sucked in a lot more. And I mean, it's easy to whittle away time on your phone, of course, but it tends to be in really short bursts. Whereas on the Mac, it's either on in the background or I'm completely sucked in. So that means no subtitling for my Matrix fan edit. So my Spanish friends are gonna have to wait a little longer. And it means no digital art, which was kind of what I wanted to do with the dummy I made last week for Phosphor, my comic book, my little adventure comic book about people coming across some ancient installation where there lurks a biomechanical monster that will kill them one by one. But more importantly, like I just came up with this new workflow that I wanted to try out so mocking up the comic book, I'm reacquainting myself very quickly with the pages I have on the wall here and more. And I thought to myself, it'd be really good idea to, because of the life in space and the problems I had lettering and then using typography in Photoshop and getting the sizes just right, it'd be really fun to do this rough layout over again and then focus on the dialogue and the texts and get that down and print that out to make sure that it looks good, like when the pages are scaled to the correct size, and then start drawing around it. This is one of the things that Kevin was pointing out in one of his many videos for Monkey Mod in his many 100 days run, and by Kevin I mean Kevin Cross. You can find him in the links down below. You should check him out because he's doing really awesome stuff for Monkey Mod in color, and it's still looking amazing. So I can't wait to see more of that. But there's also just the like I've done so much of the art in the last run I did for my comic book, and I'm doing it again now, and I think I should really go back a little further in time when I did a rough draft of the story and then another rough draft, and I did a bunch of dialogue and world building, and to see if I can fit that in text, you know, because I haven't really, like I've written so much, but I haven't nailed it down by saying like, well, this is the actual dialogue, and let's put that on the page and see what that looks like, rather than the way I did it in Life in Space and the previous version of Phosphor, which is all the art first and the story telling, but then all the dialogue and text comes afterwards, and it becomes a jigsaw puzzle trying to fit it in. So let's see if we can go the other way around. That could be interesting. But that's not going to happen this weekend because the Mac died. Sometimes I want to draw, but I'm lazy mentally, can't think of anything, don't want to think of anything. So I just grab something. And so today, instead of just drawing some portraits of a new show that I'm watching, I decided to just grab my sketchbook and I thought to myself, well, this is actually looking okay. I can ink this. And so this one over here was done with the Japanese brush pen, which is still going strong. And so now I want to have a go with the Staedtler. I mean, there were moments where I didn't like what I was doing, because like over here, it's getting a little too thick. To really get the fine detail is hard. But I think in some parts, I managed to pull it off. I really like this brush just because of the, I mean, look at it. This is awesome. And so very often I find myself trying to mimic this with one of these. It's just, this is just, gives me so much more control. So yeah, I want to take a month off social media, just unplug. I'm a bit of a news junkie. I mean, I go through bursts, but I do tend to keep up on all sorts of news, not just the news, politics and all that stuff, but like science and like the odd video games. I keep up on a lot of stuff like that, podcasts, and it's a lot of fun, but it's also time consuming. And I think it'd be good to just completely just step away from it, step away from the internet for a month and just kind of recharge and then come back to it fresh and see what I actually missed. But that also means, I think that also means videos. Maybe I'll make a video here and there, but I'm also going to take 4 weeks off from YouTube, just so you guys know. So this weekend is going to be good practice. Maybe I'll freak out. And next week I'll be back saying, no, I cannot be without you guys. But yeah, that's in 3 weeks, I'd say. Good practice. So yes. So speaking of technology and unplugging and being away from it and then seeing if you miss it, because of watching I'm at the halfway point of the latest Artcasters, which is all about like go hard or go home and like, like really putting in the time and like making the sacrifices and seeing what you have to give up to find the time to make sure that you get your projects done. It's really cool, and it's it's a nice little reminder not to be lazy, because we all have our moments. As I found out the last 2 weeks, going from the fan edit back to the comics, like that little break in between, it's nice for a couple of days, but then it's very easy to not get back on the horse or the pony. So one thing I don't miss, I kind of miss it from time to time, but I just find I have no more time for it, are video games. My PlayStation 4 is gathering dust. The big screen, the living room, which is occupied by my friends staying with us, don't miss it. I watched The Odd Show. I started watching Mr. Robot the other day. Got like 5 episodes in. Haven't bothered to finish it. Would like to. But lately I don't know. It's not just lately as in like the last couple of months where I've spent so much time on art and the odd bit of writing. I also just find myself enjoying the odd walk outside, and I'd rather just go for a walk, Just one of those things. Yeah, so video games, don't miss them. And it also made me realize that I still have that copy of Skyrim and Uncharted 4, which was absolutely amazing, and I never finished it. I don't think I even got halfway through that game. And so thinking about it, I'm kind of like, because I want to know what happened to the story, but playing it and like I have fond memories of it, but just no urge, because it's not just the guilt from being away from drawing. It's just that the things we do, like these little projects, they can be so time consuming. I just don't, if I'm not doing that, I like to get some time in with friends and chat, and that's kind of it. Yeah. So yeah, I've rambled on enough. Let's get back to Barcelona. Just got to try virtual reality for the first time. This little thing here. Not sure about how I feel about having had robot feet, but and the graphics are like kind of old school, but it's pretty cool. Like being able to look around you. I was quite impressed actually. So yeah, this is kind of the celebration of a radio station here in Barcelona. 25 years, and yeah, it's kind of cool. Let's put this away for a second. That was my second time watching virtual reality. That was cool. It was basically like watching a little TV show from the position of the camera. So that turns you into a very tiny person standing on the hood of a car watching a camel race in Abu Dhabi. And then there was another one right here where I got to sit in on a meeting of a bunch of creatives coming up with some kind of show, but from the position of the middle of the table, so you get to turn around from on top of the table, making you feel like you're like, I don't know, like 50 centimeters, basically the size of my head right now. So I'm impressed. Like I'm really like if all television is gonna be like that, I mean, I like sitting in a room next to people and watching, but like, oh my god, it's pretty cool.
Había que ser un especialista en Johan para entender a Johan, todo lo que hacía, luego la ciencia determinada todo lo que tenía una expresión tan grande, lo convertía en un revolucionario.
Hola, ¿hay alguien ahí? Siéntese. Vamos, anímese.
So two of the girls of work came up to me and with a little chocolate muffin, always appreciated, to celebrate my 1-year anniversary at the office. And it was one of those funny, awkward things where, like, just office, like working in an office in general is just a little odd because I've worked in hospitality for so long, which is like super social. And in a way, working in an office is very social as well. It's just a different kind of people who work there for the most part. And I don't always gel with them, or do I want to? And so yeah, there's lots of interesting characters, that's for sure. But it was just a little odd, like having these people come up to me and like be super enthused that I've been working with them for a year, but we never talk. It was a little awkward, to say the least. That's cool. And then, so yeah, maybe kind of pause and think about my year in Spain and my year in this job and like having opportunity to maybe go back into hospitality. There's certain things that have been pointed out through some people I used to work with over here, but at the same time I'm kind of like, well, I've done that for so long, why would I want to go back? What I want is this regular rhythm to my life, and then to you know, to focus on my art outside of work. But as these past few weeks have been going, with our team dwindling down to, well, now 3 people, and when one is sick too, like just this other day, it's pretty nerve-wracking because, you know, most of the day what I end up doing is just listening to people complain if I let them. I try and cut them off, you know. And then there's my coworkers who love to complain, so I try to block them out. But there's only so much blocking out you can do, so some of these days, man, like today, yesterday, like it feels like my brain has like a little valve of social juice, like the amount of social energy I can muster to be nice to people, and it's just being flushed down the drain over 8 hours, and then I come home and I want to have nothing to do with anyone and just lie on my bed. But that doesn't work either because, of course, You guys, thanks so much for watching. Hope you liked the video. If you do, something about like, comment. Alright, this is the 4th time I'm trying to record this. Well, say hi down below. I'll respond. And I'll see you guys next week.